Right, let's start this Debian VM now. Make sure you've got current state highlighted and then click start. I'll hit enter there to boot into Debian. And then I'm going to click here on Jim and log in with the password that I set during install. Hit enter to sign in. And there we go, that's it. Now, as a hacker, you're going to be spending a lot of time inside the terminal. So I want you to open a terminal now. If you have got a Windows key on your keyboard, most people do, pressing that will bring up this screen here. Start typing terminal, and there it is. I'm going to hit enter and it will open a terminal for me. You can also go up to the top left here, go on activities, and you can type into the search box there the application you're looking for and open a terminal that way. If you're new to using the terminal, it may seem fiddly, counterproductive, and just maybe even frustrating using it for pretty much everything. But that is what I want you to do, and that's how you will get used to using the terminal. Once you get the hang of things, you will find that you can do pretty much anything incredibly quickly with just a few keystrokes. You will be able to carry out complex tasks that would otherwise take a long time and lots of clicking and moving windows about, opening, closing dialog boxes. This lesson is all about root, sudo, and installing applications. And to learn a few Linux fundamentals, I want you to do a very simple task, and that is install an application called nmap. Nmap is a tool used for port scanning, and that is often the first step in looking at a target and getting information from it. I'll be explaining port scanning in a lot more detail in the next section of the course. The following steps may seem complicated at first, but I'm showing you all this for a reason, to introduce Linux and hacking fundamentals. Don't worry, you won't need to go through all of this every time you want to install some new software to your VM. Before you can make any changes to your Debian system, you will need permission to do so. By default, your user account, Jim in my case, will not allow you to make changes to the system, like installing software, and that is a security feature. It stops you and others doing harm to your system. It's time to introduce the root user. The root user, also known as the super user, is a special user account that can make system-wide changes without limit. The root user has all the power in Unix and Linux environments and is similar to the administrator user in Windows. If you are root, you can read, write, and execute any file that you wish. You could easily damage your system or completely wipe it with just a short command if you're not careful, if you're logged in as the root user. And for that reason, when you do want to make changes to your system and you are required to be the root user, it's better to use a tool called Sudo. Sudo is a tool that allows you to run programs as the super user or root user. Try Sudo now by typing sudo apt update. Enter. And we've got a little message there, and it's asking for the password for Jim, so I'll type that password in. Now it says there, Jim is not in the sudoers file. This incident will be reported. Don't worry, you're not going to get reported to anyone but yourself. Now in theory, that command sudo apt update would update the list of Debian's packages that it uses to install and upgrade packages. But it didn't work. I just want to show you what happens if I try apt update on its own. You'll see there's a message. You get several permission denied messages, and that's because the Jim user account doesn't have permission to access the files needed to execute that command, which is why we need sudo. To get sudo working properly, you will need to log in as the root user now, which should only be done when there's no other option. To do that, use the command su, switch or substitute user. If you use this command on its own, it will attempt to switch to the root user, at which point you need the root user password, which you should have made a note of during the installation process. I'm now logged in as the root user, and notice how my command prompt has changed slightly. I've got this symbol here, a hash symbol or a hashtag as the kids call it these days, instead of a $sign. And also the colour of the text has changed. I'm now the root user. I can confirm that by typing ID, and as you can see, it tells me I am the root user. I only want you to do one thing as the root user, and that is add your other user account, Jim in my case, to the Sudo group. You can do that with this command. And actually, I need to put a / there, sbin. Right, so I've got / sbin usermod space dash lowercase a uppercase g space Jim sudo, and it says the user sudo does not exist, and that is because I've got those the wrong way around. So I'll put sudo and then Jim. Okay, so Jim is now part of the Sudo group, and in Debian that also means that Jim is a part of the sudoers file. In your case, you'll need to make sure you switch Jim with your username. In some operating systems, just typing usermod would do the trick, but it says there, command not found. So I do need to make sure that I precede usermod with / sbin / usermod, and sbin is where the usermod program is found on this operating system. I want you to restart your VM now, but you can do that by going to the top right here, clicking the power button, and then clicking restart. And that's the quickest way to make sure that those changes are applied. Hit enter there. Log back in as your main user. And you can test to see if that all works by opening a terminal. And trying that same command again, sudo apt update. And this time the command works, and you can see there that apt update is attempting to find the most up-to-date list of software packages. And the final line says, all packages are up to date, which is what you would expect if you've just installed that system over the network. You may receive a different message that says you can upgrade your system, in which case you can use sudo apt upgrade. In my case, that says that there's nothing to upgrade, so there's nothing that can be done. It is worth taking a snapshot of your VM before doing a big upgrade so that you can roll back if something goes wrong. If you're new to Linux and the command line, then you might not know about tab completion. You can use the tab key on your keyboard to speed up entering commands. And in future videos, you may see me apparently typing very fast. In fact, all I'm doing is hitting that tab key and letting it auto-complete the command for me. So in the case of sudo apt, if I type in up there and hit tab once, nothing happens. If I do it twice, you'll see it gives me two different commands. If I type the D and then hit tab, it will complete that to update. So hitting the tab key twice will give you a list of the potential possibilities. I'll show you tab completion, also known as command completion, later on when we've got some really long commands. And you'll see that if you really get to grips with tab completion, you will massively speed up your typing speed and your ability to enter commands. Back to the original goal now, which was to install nmap, if you remember. Now, it's always worth updating your list of packages before installing any new software, and that just makes sure that you're going to get that package from the right place. We've done that already, so now I can type sudo apt install nmap. Do you want to continue? Yes. And what often happens when you install software is that any other packages that are required to install that software are also installed. Nmap's installed now. And by typing the command nmap without any arguments after it, it just gives me the basic usage. Nmap is installed and ready to go, but resist the urge to use it right away, I will show you how to use it very soon. A few other tools and programs have been introduced in this lesson. Sudo apt usermod, which will only work if I type in sudo usermod or spin usermod, nmap, but we will get to nmap. You can find out about any of them with the man command. For example, man su or su. There you go, su, run a command with substitute user and group ID. These man pages can be pretty long, and often you'll find that tools are a little more complicated than you first thought. The man command opens up the manual and you can scroll up and down with the arrow keys. There's lots of other things you can do, like search for text, but we'll leave that for now. To quit, just hit the Q key, and there you go, you're back to your terminal. A quick word on apt. Apt is short for Advanced Package Tool, and it can be used with a number of different arguments, like the ones that you've used already. Apt update, upgrade, and apt install. And finally, I've introduced the root user in this video, and that's a very important concept that you need to know about and understand. Later on, when you're trying to hack into another system, your ultimate goal will be to take control of the root user account. And once you've done that, you can do anything you want with the target system. It will effectively belong to you.